All right, so Columbus Day weekend, or Indigenous people, Italian heritage, whatever it is.
All the things.
All the
things weekend.
That weekend, yeah, all the things weekend. My husband and I went to New Orleans, and I love New Orleans. It's like one of my favorite places to go. It's so cool. And our last day there, we had some delays, like our plane was delayed. But you know when you get the notification before you arrive at the airport? You're like, oh, I could hang out a little bit. Like, I could, like, do a little bit more.
That doesn't make you nervous that it could change back at any time? Because I heard that there's stories where, like, they'll be like, never mind, we actually, like, are on time.
Well,
JK.
Good thing that didn't happen.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
Because I didn't have that energy.
It's not in the story, okay.
Yeah, like, the energy was like, let's hang out more. Mm-hmm. So we were in the French Quarter, and we passed by Jackson Square. And there's some artists there that have, like, permits to be there. And there's this one guy, Ricky Charles. We had passed his artwork a couple times. And so he had stuck out in our brain. We're like, let's just buy some artwork. Like, let's do it. And the really cool thing about his stuff is that the frames that he frames his artwork in are, like, wood that survived Hurricane Katrina. Mm-hmm. Which is, like, so cool. You're like, wow, out of destruction comes a rebirth of these things. And it's, like, symbolic, I think, of, like, the resilience. Like, the wood kind of represented the people. Like, it just, I started getting all the feels about it.
Like, the wood's the people, the painting's the town.
Right, exactly. I, like, created this whole, like, overarching meaning about it. And so we buy one, but then we decide, like, we really fell in love with another big one. This, like, beautiful frame, whatever.
The little one had the framing of... like the wood framing too? Or, okay, they both do.
Yeah, and I think the small one was even painted on wood too.
Okay.
Whereas the one we got was...
just the frame.
Just the frame was recovered from Hurricane Katrina, and then it was painted on something else. So we buy it, and he was like, I'll ship it to you. Okay? So I'm just... This wood survived Hurricane Katrina, but this wood did not survive UPS. This man put Fragile all over it.
That should have been your first thing. You gotta go FedEx every time.
Now I know. I'm sorry about anyone who works for UPS who's listening.
I'm sorry to that man.
I'm sorry to that man. I'm sorry to be like down in your employer, but no way. This thing said Fragile all over it. Da, da, da. I'm hearing it on the way up. You're hearing little pieces going around the box, and I was like, oh my God. So we open it up, and it is in disrepair. It is in disrepair. It is broken into like a billion pieces. And I just personified this wood like way too much. And I just had like an emotional breakdown.
And wait, was this the same night that we were going out?
Yes, you and I were going to your friend's party, her Oktoberfest party.
Oh, I thought it was the time that we talked about in the last episode where we went to the city, but it wasn't. Okay, no. We were going to, yeah. And I remember messaging you because you were saying how upset you were, like when we were supposed to go, and I was like, are you like okay to come to the party?
And part of me, like, I would be lying if I said that there wasn't a point where I was like, I'm not doing anything today. So fast forward, my husband finds a restoration dude.
Mm-hmm. Like he was just Googling it, and that's how he found this guy. Okay.
And it's in Bumble Fudge, Brooklyn, like all the way around Brighton Beach. If you saw the movie Honora, like that's where it took place, like at the end of the
rainbow
of New York. Exactly, at the end of the rainbow. You are kind enough to let us borrow your car. We go, we drop off all the materials, and fast forward 2 weeks to yesterday.
And this is like a half day event because I was, you took the car at like 5 and you returned it at like 9.
Dude, I'm telling you, there was so much traffic.
There's always traffic. Where you were is like traffic, like heaven.
Yes, exactly. And so like, or hell, I would say.
Yeah.
And so like, there was 3 options. We could go through Manhattan, we could go through the BQE, or we could have like basically gone the airport route.
Going through Manhattan is diabolical. Why would you go through Manhattan?
So we didn't do that. But it was also diabolical.
What was the route? Like the FDR drive all the way down?
It was BQE. The Manhattan route. Sorry. It was like, I guess it was going all the way in and then over the Brooklyn Bridge.
going all the way down Manhattan and then across the Brooklyn
and then crossing
Bridge.
back over.
Sounds wild.
It sounds why would you leave the island of Long Island to go back onto
like
the island of Long Island?
You were doing like a car marathon, all 5 boroughs.
Yeah,
you go to Staten Island, you take the ferry.
You're like, wait, why are you? You're like tracking the car. Yeah. You're like, why is my car at Staten Island? So we went the airport route. We went past JFK, which is still crazy because then you get airport traffic. It's like there's just no good way to get there. No. Which is why they should do that train thing. But whatever, I'm like diverging. Long story short, this guy is a miracle worker. This thing looks like nothing ever happened to it. And on the way back, like, we had to like put your car seats down and it had to like lean, but then we couldn't like have it lean on the edges because it's like fragile and the ornamentation and blah, blah, blah. I'm like climbing over your seat. I'm trying to drag it out. On the way in, I'm like carrying it over here. And some guy's like, great painting. And I'm like, you don't even know what I went through for this. But I didn't say that. I was like, thanks.
What was JP doing while you were carrying the painting?
So the way that it came out, it's like I had to carry it. And he was like, I can grab it here. And I was like, I feel like I have it secured, like where it hangs.
And you wanted to carry it.
I was like, if someone's breaking it, it's me. Because I did not want to be mad at my husband.
Because it just reminded me of those, you know, like, this is probably like, you're probably going to be on one of these Instagrams. But it's like people who like will videotape a family. And it's like the wife pushing like 7 strollers. And the husband's just on his phone. It's like, that's JP. You're hauling the city of New Orleans on your shoulders. JP's just like checking his stats.
No, he asked me 8 times. He's like, sure, do I take it? I was like, just open the doors. Like, so he will. I don't think he'll be that way. But from the outside, I would definitely think that's what was happening. But oh my God, I just feel like Humpty Dumpty was put back together again. And I'm just so happy.
And the people rejoiced.
Yes.
When they were like put together back in the frame.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, what a wonderful experience.
I think so. And thank you. You without you and your generosity and your help, we wouldn't have been able to
There
even
was
get
a lot
there.
of moving factors.
We would have been on the train going to Brighton Beach.
Hi everyone, I'm Melanie.
And I'm Diana.
And we're 2 queens in a pod.
Queens. And we are 2 queens from Queens, giving you the queen's perspective no matter where we go, no matter what we do.
And that is Amazon or something that's buzzing if you didn't hear it.
If there's a buzz.
This is New York City, okay? People get
packages.
And it's not UPS.
Better not be UPS. I have a vendetta against those guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
And today, so before I was so rudely interrupted, we're going to Chelsea Hotel, which is like, yeah, go. What were you going to say?
Well, no, I said I would thoroughly enjoyed learning about this because I didn't know anything about the Chelsea Hotel.
Yeah.
Until we went there.
Yeah.
And it has a very interesting history.
It does.
Yeah.
And I feel like, in my mind, it's sort of like the antithesis, the opposite of the Plaza Hotel. Like, it started getting developed at the same time, but it was for almost like the opposite crowd.
Yeah, and it kind of reminded me of it because it has residential, but we'll talk about it. So I'm going to give you a brief history like we've been doing. So, the Chelsea Hotel, it was built between 1883 and 1884 in the neighborhood of Chelsea on 23rd Street. The hotel was designed by Philip Herbert, and it was in a Victorian Gothic kind of design. It was 12 stories, known as one of the largest or tallest buildings at the time because this was not when the skyscrapers were skyscraping. I don't know what
they weren't skyscraping.
The verb.
They weren't scraping the sky yet.
They weren't scraping the sky yet. And it was originally planned, and it still is, housing unit as a co-op. So for those of those, I've always kind of been curious of a co-op. I know your parents own a co-op. So for anyone who's wants to know about a co-op, a co-op is a building that's collectively owned by its residents. So each resident buys a share and contribute to the maintenance and the operations of the building. And this created affordable housing and a sense of community because all the decisions that happen to the fixture of the building need to be all voted on or, talked about within the building. By the board. So the Chelsea one was one of the first co-op buildings. And as Diana mentioned just now, when we did the Plaza Hotel, it was also a residential building. I don't believe it was a co-op, but this was like a new radical idea, was a co-op. Like, it was like, everyone was like, that's not going to work. And it didn't really work. But it was like this radical idea that they were coming up at the time.
Right. This idea of like owning an apartment, like apartment ownership was pretty new. And I have that it was 2/3 co-op, 1/3 rentals. Like there was still a percentage that were rentals within it.
Rentals, okay, not hotel yet.
No.
So this was like, starting the thing.
This is all before hotel,
So that model obviously stopped really working only about 10 to 15 years after it was built because of the economic downturns leading up into the 20th century. So think like late 1900s, early 1900s when, the stock was crashing, all that stuff. And since it was owned mostly by artists, that was greatly affected by them financially.
Right, and that like the theater district relocated. So that wasn't the best place for artists to live at that time. And then also they were developing more north of Manhattan. So a lot of people were like, let's just get a house. So they moved up that way.
So by 1905, they started making it a hotel. So now it's a hotel, and in the 40s to the 70s, the Chelsea had become this like epicenter for New York's artistic counterculture, and there was all these notable residents and guests, which I'm sure Diana's going to talk a lot about, her favorite ones. But it was like this very bohemian atmosphere that just like, it was just like a creative hub. Like all these people were doing collaborations and all of that. So with that, because there was a lot of artists and musicians, there was a lot of substance abuse and parties, and it kind of also had a bad reputation because of that. I'll go into his fun facts about the deaths that are associated with the Chelsea Hotel. But that's what kind of the vibe was and the lore of the Chelsea Hotel, all the way up into the 2011. So now we're in 2011. The hotel itself, or the building itself, has been going into disrepair. It's not up to date. It really needs to be updated.
But they can't knock it down.
They can't knock it down because it's a landmark.
It's been landmarked.
It became the landmark in 1966. So we'll talk more about that. I don't want to go too into depth.
We'll backtrack a little
bit. We'll backtrack. But in 2011, it closed to hotel guests, and it took nearly a decade to open up again in 2022 to the renovated model. And there's a lot of controversy, which we'll get into, but that is the scheme of the Hotel Chelsea, or Chelsea Hotel. There's two names. What do you call it?
I always called it the Chelsea Hotel, but I actually think it's Hotel Chelsea.
Yeah.
Who would have thunk?
They said it goes both ways.
Yeah, so, let's backtrack to 1905. And I feel like this is when... So it was converted to a hotel, but not the hotel that we understand hotels to be. I don't think tourism was at the level that it is now.
No, yeah.
So to keep it afloat, it was really extended hotel stays.
And this
it's
is
like
the exact same thing we were talking about the Plaza Hotel.
Yes.
At this time of the Gilded Age, you were having people travel from Europe here for extended periods of time. There was, people who were staying 2 months, 3 months. It was like when there was just train travel. So even I don't know why I pointed out Europe, but like people from like other states would come here and just stay for months at a time. So yeah, I get what you're saying. Like it's not commercial hoteling.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's like people who, and it just makes me wonder, like, why would some people be more attracted to extended stay at a hotel versus like just renting an apartment? But I guess with this, like, and this lends to the fact that this opened up more to artists.
Well, I guess hotel, like apartments go by like a yearly base, right? What if you're not staying there?
Yeah, maybe you just want to stay 6 months, right? Yeah. I mean, do you want to get into like the specific owners?
No, we don't need to. They're not that important. Yeah.
Okay. There is one owner I do want to get into though. So there was a time when it converted up until like, let's say 1940, that the artist vibe that initially was there before it became a hotel, like, because going back to when it was a co-op, it was made for artists. Like that's who the co-op was really had in mind.
When it was strictly like the residents.
Yeah, before it became a hotel.
Focus.
Right. Mm-hmm. So like that established kind of hotel vibe. I think that established the whole artist vibe. And I even think the top floor were just artist studios. So anyone who lived there in the co-op could like go up and like create their art and then go back home and like chill and just still be in the same building. But then that went away once it was first converted to like a hotel. Okay. Like I could only imagine it was almost more like the plaza, or trying to be like the plaza. Like, let's get some ritzy people up in this joint. But then that didn't work. The New York Bank for Savings repossessed it, and then it was sold to this guy, Bard.
Okay.
Eventually, Bard sells it to other people, but even though he sold it, he was still part of the operations. Which brings us to the 1950s. And this brings us to, like, our experience there as well. So 1950 is when El Quixote, the restaurant, opened there in the building.
And we had drinks there. So to tell you, last week we told you about our experience going out in the city.
Yes.
Which led into like the
our
psychic.
gallivanting.
And one of the places we went to was the Chelsea Hotel. And it was obviously very busy. Like a lot of people go there.
I was surprised how busy it was.
Yeah, it was pretty.
I was like,
it was
damn,
pretty busy.
This place is popping.
And we got bar seats at this
restaurant, El Quixote, and like
El Quixote.
I would have never known.
I was like,
you were like, Don Coqui. What were you saying?
I was like, Don Coqui, and I was like,
you thought it was.
I was like, oh, we always talked about this guy. I was like, where do I know him from? And you're like, Wishbone. I was like, that's it. I know him from Wishbone, 100%.
I was like, Don Quixote, Man de la Mancha, and you're like, why do I know him? And I was like, what's the story,
I was like, didn't
Wishbone?
I was like, wasn't he just like a fake knight? And you were like, kinda.
Pretty much. He was
like masquerading as a knight.
Right, and I think the idea is that like he was a little, he was like not all there in the head. He may have lost a couple marbles, but he was able to sort of somehow experience the feeling of valiantness and all of that.
You know what? All you have to do is believe, and reality could somehow come. Yeah. Because he thought the windmills were
like monsters.
Yeah.
So he fought the windmills.
Them, and then he fell over.
Then
Wishbone's like on him, like, get up.
So wait, Wishbone played his helper.
Sidekick. Yeah, he wasn't him.
No.
It was like the old man.
Wishbone played, he played like the, I got you. The help. The help.
Where is that dog? That dog definitely is dead now, but man, what an actor, you know?
I mean,
they should give awards to animal actors. They probably do. Maybe I'm not in the animal actor world enough. But
I don't think they get Oscars though. There's like another
the
award
whole
ceremony.
cast from Homeward Bound.
He should have an Oscar. The way he limped out like that.
There was one time me and Diana were out, and we were like just laughing at our own jokes. And remember we were talking about like if this guy like came up to us and was like, yeah, I'm like a Harvard graduate. And I'd be like, that's not impressive. You know what's impressive? Shadow coming back from the dead.
And limping.
And limping.
That dog was limping so perfectly.
Wait, was Shadow the dog's name? Or was that the cat's name? Sassy was the cat. Shadow was the dog.
Yeah.
And then the other dog was named...
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm just remembering the inside joke again. You're like... So guys like, oh, yeah. But
something
did you
super
see?
impressive.
We just like changed the derail.
That's not impressive.
That's great that you got
That's
you graduated
great you got
from
the
Harvard.
Nobel
But
Award,
did you
the Peace
see
Prize.
Shadow's performance in Homeward Bound, the way he limped out at the end when you thought all hope was lost?
I just was watching it on Instagram, like that whole clip, and I just like crying again. Like, you can't not cry.
Yeah.
You know, when he's like, he was just too old. And the kid gave up hope real quick. Like, it was only like 2 minutes, and then he's like, he was too old. He's not gonna make it. And then he's like, ugh.
Wow, that kid better bite his tongue.
Yeah.
I don't know how he sleeps at night.
This is now a Homeward Bound podcast.
Okay. Just for our listeners who
what
have no idea what we're talking about.
I was like, where did we go?
We're going to peel it back. We were talking about
the bar.
Performances of dogs because of Wishbone, which brings us back to Quixote, which is one of the fixtures that is still there today that came about in 1950.
Very cool bar.
And this was it. Like the 1940s, 1950s is like the reemergence of the artist scene. Okay. And this becomes a hub for artists, writers, and activists again. And just a little quick anecdote. In 1953, Dylan Thomas, who is a famous Irish poet.
Mm-hmm.
He died there.
Yeah, he did.
Do you want to hear how this man died? This guy binge drank so much that he put himself into a coma and then died 4 years later.
The legend has it was 18 whiskeys.
Ooh.
That's too many whiskeys.
That is... I was gonna say one too many whiskeys. I'm gonna say that's 18 too many whiskeys.
18 too many whiskeys. You should stop at like
wild.
4.
Yeah. That's supposed to
And
just
even,
to start your
even
night
wild,
and then switch to beer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He did
just
it
go to
rough.
bed.
Mm-hmm. And that was room 205 if you want to keep track of the rooms.
See, it made me wonder, I doubt they do this, but I feel like it would be cool for them to do like ghost tours.
They do ghost tours. That's on my notes.
Oh,
so let's talk about one more death.
Is this
or
in
like
the
notable
50s
death.
or is it later?
This was the Sex Pistons basis.
Okay, that's going a little... Wait, can we just put a little...
You have another death in the 50s?
No, I just have some information, because that happened in when? The 70s.
Whenever the Sex Pistons were popular.
That happened like 20 years later.
Okay.
But let's just go chronologically really quick. I want to go back to this dude, Bard. Right?
Man, really obsessed
so
with this
Bard
guy.
dies, and then his son becomes the manager after his death, right?
Never a good sign.
And he, like... You could argue that he was great. You could also argue that he was terrible. Okay? So people loved that he had this, like, unconventional management style. He, like, welcomed in artists who were struggling and who were rejected by other hotels because they were probably seedy characters. Like, there were, like, a lot of hotels were like, we don't need this rock star staying here.
Yeah,
like, we don't need another death
Another
like that.
struggling artist.
But he'd be like, no, come. Like, it's okay, man. Like, bohemian lifestyle. Like, well, I don't want to reject anyone. And in a lot of ways, he treated his tenants more like friends than actual tenants.
So he like wouldn't collect money from them?
So actually, what he would accept is their artwork or their services.
Oh, and this is like how the walls got filtered with like, because like there's a rumor that it used to be like all the hallways were just like art galleries because they would like pay him in art.
Yeah, so the guy's like, I can't make rent. And he'd be like, just give me one of your paintings. Or I can't make rent. He's like, just play a song down in El Quijote and for free and like give us some entertainment. So he was much of like the bartering. He kind of he added to that sort of bohemian barding community artist vibe, which like was beautiful because it added to that energy, but it also I don't think helped
financially
like
help the building,
because unfortunately we do live in a capitalist society and like
you need
money for things.
Yeah, you need to maintenance.
Yeah, exactly. You have to maintain the space. And then that brings us to the 60s, and this is when Andy Warhol became a temporary tenant there, and all the people who were part of the factory, which is his sort of like posse. And that kind of gave it...
Do you think a lot of people at the Chelsea went to Studio 54?
Oh, yeah. They would go to Studio 54 and then head to the Chelsea after.
Do you think they had a couple jewelries?
Some jewelries.
What's the shoes called?
White Capezios. Of course.
But again, I'm jumping too far ahead because that's the 80s.
Or 70s,
yeah,
right?
70s.
Yeah. So yeah, Andy Warhol, that vibe. So that kind of really gave it that upper echelon energy of yes, like kind of artists like on the lower end of things, but then also artists with higher regard. We're getting... we're bringing the Hotel Chelsea's name up to like a higher level and like giving it this sort of like whoa, like this Studio 54 feeling almost. And then this is also around the time when Bob Dylan made his album Blonde on Blonde, and he wrote a lot of it at the Hotel Chelsea while he was staying there, and that's his big contribution to it.
Is that like a really famous album of his?
Yeah, I mean, all of his stuff is great, you know?
I know, I knew you were going to say that. So then it shouldn't be that special that he did it at the Chelsea. He probably writes anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. But like the Hotel Chelsea got to be his muse for a little bit.
Okay.
He likes his muses. Like there's
that's like his niche. Yeah.
It gave him some inspiration, like being in that bohemian surrounded by artists. It like set the stage for him. And then also just to name drop a little bit more, and then I'll pass it to you for the 70s. Janis Joplin had extended stay there. Jimi Hendrix had extended stay there. Leonard Cohen, like just awesome musicians, like really cool musicians. It's kind of cool knowing that many people passed through there.
Right.
Which brings it to the 70s. And at this point, half of the residents are long-term tenants paying super low rent and rent-controlled rates. And this is what caused it to fall into serious decline. The hallways started getting super graffitied up. It got roach-infested. A lot of crime, drug use. People were committing suicide out there. There was robberies. And then there was the
Yeah, so this was
notorious.
This was another
murder.
notorious death. So Nancy Spungen, is that how you say her name? She was the girlfriend of the bassist in the Sex Pistols, Sid Vicious. And she was found stabbed to death in room 100, which apparently is like a room that they don't like rent out anymore. Ooh. Allegedly.
Do you know what they do in there, or is it just an abandoned room?
They imagine that like it's like the janitor's room, and he's like, I have to go in this room every day.
Or it's like, you know, the abandoned rooms in Creedmoor where all the pigeons.
Oh, the pigeons like their art. The pigeons art. She's pigeon poop art.
Yeah, exactly.
So the boyfriend, was charged with her murder, but he died of a heroin overdose while the trial.
He was out on bail.
He didn't specifically die in the Chelsea, but like it's so closely related to it that they kind of like just assume. But the thing I wanted to ask you was, well, I didn't want to ask you anything actually. Okay. Well, let's just start it off.
Don't ask me anything.
But I was curious to see if they had a lot of TV or film that the ghost hunter shows that they have filmed there, and they do like a lot. There's like a lot of people who like stayed there and filmed there. But
they let them into like 100 and 205.
I think so. And they do like their little ghost hunter stuff.
Yeah.
But do you believe in ghost hunters? And I want to tie this into, my dad is obsessed with that show, like Ghost Hunters.
Okay.
Like my whole life, I remember him always like being so like, well, he's just like a naive person in general, but like just like hanging on every word that these people said, you know, like, so whenever a Ghost Hunters episode would come out, he'd be like, I got to tell you about the ghost at the Belmore Shadow Realm. And I'm like, what the hell is... So do you believe in ghost hunter? I believe in ghosts. Do you believe in hunters that this made for TV is real? Like if you're here, say something, and then like the windows shatter.
Yeah, I mean, I think film is a perfect place to create a show like that, because you could manipulate things. You could create... Right. You could develop fugazi technology that does certain things that you want it to do. Like, I think spirits and ghosts are smarter than to get caught on some TV show. Like, I think in a world that they're little...
So you think ghosts know what TV shows are?
They're just like, I'm not getting played like this. Like, I'm out.
So you think that ghost consciousness will keep building as they ghost up?
Wait, say that again?
Like their consciousness, like if they were died in like the 50s, you think that they know what like documentaries are? I guess documentaries are around the 50s. I think
they know when someone's up to no good if they're trying to get exploited. Okay. They're like, these guys are trying to take advantage. So they know
that they're getting exploited.
Yeah, they might not know exactly.
The ghosts know they're getting exploited.
Yeah, they might not know the exact name of the technology or what it's doing, but they're like, these guys are... Mm-hmm. They're trying to take advantage.
There's a really
What are your thoughts though on the TV?
I think it's all fake.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm very, as a psychic said, I'm very distrusting of people, like right off the bat. But there's a really funny Aziz Ansari's bit where he talks about if like a ghost was haunting like his apartment. He's like, my apartment complex is like really new. Yeah. So like the ghost would be really new and it'd be like, what's the Wi-Fi password, bro? Like, and like just keep like turning the Wi-Fi on and off. Like he's like, that's how I would be haunted.
Just messing
He's
with
like
people.
The new age ghost. Yeah.
That makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
you want to talk about... Okay, so do you want to talk about the closure of 2011 and how it led to the decade of remodeling? And so 2011 was when I said they closed the hotel down for not permanent, to redo the hotel and the building and everything that needed to be done.
Were you able to get much information about what it was like, let's say, in the 80s to like the 2010s, like those 30
I just
years?
Was reading that. It was exactly what you said, like up until the 2000s. It was just like how your boy Bert that you keep talking about, you keep babbling about.
Which guy?
The guy, the owner guy, the son.
Oh, Bard.
Like it was like kind of like that. Like it was just like roach infested. Like there was nothing happening there. Like it was just like going into disrepair. Like there was,
And I could only imagine it was almost like hostel status in terms of like, I can't imagine people paying good money to like.
Well, because
stay
in 2011,
there.
This idea of making it a luxury hotel came about. So I can't assume that it was a luxury hotel before that.
No, it must have just been like just decaying, and then no one could knock it down because it had the landmark status. So yeah, I guess like. Mm-hmm. Everything leading up to 2011 was just like, this place is just...
This is not what you're seeing is what it is.
Which is crazy. That means the majority of our life, it was like in disrepair.
But here's what I don't understand. So in 2011, somebody bought it. It kept changing hands, so I'm not even going to name the people because like they don't really
There's
stay
just
long.
too many people.
But they bought it for $80 million the first time in 2011 to remodel it.
Yeah.
And this is like the curse of the decade because what they kept running into was because it's a landmark, they had all these building codes that they had to follow because of the landmark status. Mm-hmm. Then you also had the long-term residents. There was 100 at the time in 2011. There was 100 residents. Not anymore, but there was when this started.
Yeah.
Okay. So there was 100 residents, mostly of them artists, older residents that have been in the building for decades.
Got it.
And they were trying to buy them out or like, give them money to leave. But because they were rent stabilized, rent controlled, these people were like, I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
So they kind of, during the renovations, there was just dust and debris and all of these toxic like environment. And they were kind of doing it on purpose to kind of like be like, you gotta get out of here, whatever.
This isn't a safe place.
Yeah, and like all of the tenants, all the residents were like banding together and following all these lawsuits because it was like craziness.
Yeah, and they felt like they had the right to be there.
Here's my thing.
Yeah.
You were saying how it was like roach infested, the building was falling apart. How is that much better than debris and dust?
Exactly. Like we've been living in poor conditions this whole time. Like you're not gonna scare us.
Why is this jump, right? So
yeah, what ends up happening? I'm so like,
so then in
I'm at the edge of my seat here.
So in 2013, the New York City Department of Housing Preservation and Development halted construction because it was unsafe conditions for the tenants. So they filed these lawsuits. It actually got, they ended up having more people, more like safe environment, doing a safe environment.
So they did the construction. They maintained their right to stay there.
Yeah.
But they just made more protocols to make it safe.
But because of the so prolonged, because this was 2011, it didn't reopen until 2022 to hotel guests.
11 years.
11 years. There was 100 residents starting in 2011 when they started this.
Yeah.
And in 2022, only 50 of them actually stayed.
Okay. And then they're still living there today?
That are still living there today. There's 50 residents, and there's 125 hotel guest rooms.
Okay.
So they successfully kicked out or bought out or drove away 50 of those residents.
But so half of them left, right?
Yeah.
So those 50 that remain, how much are they paying in rent?
They're still in the rent controlled, rent stabilized.
I want to look this. Can you look up how much Chelsea hotel residents pay monthly to stay there? Because I find that fascinating, because if we're going all the way back, that means they're paying like 1970s, 1980.
But you know what I don't get? Are they still, I guess they're still not involved in the co-op because they're not paying for maintenance and operations anymore,
no,
right?
because the co-op was disbanded back in 1905.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I had that moment
but
too.
They were still
they have
rent
the
controlled.
Right.
So it might have switched over to rent controlled at that, because is rent control and co-op hands in hand now?
No, so co-op means you own. Rent controlled means they can't increase it. Like what you paid back then is what you're paying now.
Yeah.
And then what we have is rent stabilized, meaning that
you can only increase it by
percentage.
2%.
Exactly, right. Like no more than 2%. But rent, like my mom, I've brought this up before, but I think it's a great story. My mom's really good friend, she is in her rent controlled apartment from back in the 70s, and she's still in Park Slope. Mm-hmm. Paying, less than $1,000 a month because she hung on. So I could only imagine how much these 50 residents are paying monthly to be in Chelsea, one of the most expensive neighborhoods.
I don't know. It's not really giving me anything.
I bet you that's...
Some, they're as of 2017, rent stabilized tenant pay about $2,200 a month, which is not low. I mean, it's not high, 100% not high for Chelsea, but it's
but I bet
high.
you people are paying $5,000 to a month to live in Chelsea. That's probably pretty good.
Yeah.
That's
so
the
roughly
same as
$2,500, which is not that bad.
That's pretty good. Okay.
Yeah, so they're just named this one family that lives there since the 70s, and they pay $2,500.
Nice.
Okay. That's not bad.
No.
So now we are in this new luxury style hotel apartment. And
hotel.
What'd I say?
Apartment.
Well, it is hotel apartments.
But it's not. Is it long stay anymore? It's more like
No, I'm saying there's people that live there in the apartments.
Okay, yeah, those 50.
Residents of
but
50.
Then the remaining 125 rooms are very much hotel style. They're not long-term stays, right?
Right.
Okay.
And so a lot of the residents say it's like crazy because as of like today, like if you were going to book, one, they're sold out this weekend. I tried to see like how much it would be today. But we are in peak season. So November and December, peak season for hotels in New York because of the holidays.
True.
They're ranging about 800 to like 1,100 a night for a room. And these are like standard rooms. On a regular non-peak, it's about $690 for a standard room.
Okay.
But they were saying how it's so surreal because the residents share the hallways, the entrance, the elevators with them. And they're like, it's funny because there's people paying thousands of dollars for a night stay and I'm in my rent control department. They said it's like very surreal.
That is kind of crazy.
But there's like a big question, which I'm going to ask you.
Wait. Just to go back, but go before your question.
See, like I said I didn't want to ask you any questions and you got mad at me. Now I want to ask you a question. You won't give it to me.
I'm a contrarian today.
Okay.
4 days. 4 days a hotel guest has to stay. That's the amount the resident pays in a month.
At like a low, during the low season.
That's wild.
Yeah, that is wild.
Okay, go. Where's your question?
Okay, so the Chelsea Hotel, obviously, we just gave you all these reasons of why it's so iconic to artists and legends of all of these collaborations and history.
Yeah.
So now that it's a luxury apartment, or oh my gosh, hotel. What happens when a cultural landmark becomes real estate? It's like a museum that you get to be a part of, a museum of nostalgia. So I feel like you have a lot of opinions about this of, do you think it should have changed? Like, do you think what do you think? Like, as far as the luxury brand of it all now, like, does it take away from what it used to be?
Yeah. I mean, in some ways, like, it's still the same because of those 50 people who held out in some ways. But then in other ways, it does feel like they stepped away from what it was. Like, in a lot of ways, it reminded me a little bit of 5 Points, what it used to be. Mm-hmm. And they couldn't physically knock it down like they did to 5 Points to build and rebuild luxury apartments. But I do feel like the spirit of it has been sort of ripped out of it.
Right. Like, I mean, I haven't read anything about any recent artists that went there and felt like a muse, or like a collaboration or something like that.
I think it's also a different time. I feel like celebrities, like, so back in the 70s, celebrities were like of the people. Like, you could catch Bob Dylan hanging out at Cafe Wha on a regular night. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Now it's like, I feel like a lot of celebrities live in their ivory towers and they live so separate from everyone else.
And, like, do you feel like the word artist or musician and all of these things have so much more weight in this day and age where, like, back in the day, even though they were regarded and very much, like, praised, they didn't have this, like, I don't know, like, godlike status that they have? Or do you think that they had godlike status back in the day? Or people just were like, that's a great musician. They weren't like, oh my God, I would give you, like, my firstborn son to, like, get an autograph with you. How it is now, Yeah,
I mean, I would say this is when it started changing. Like, it was around the 70s where, like, if you think about, like,
Beatlemania, right, yeah.
That's when it was, like, this was all around the time where it shifted. So this was, in some ways, and you know me, I feel like the 1960s, 70s.
Everybody's an artist.
Well, that too. But also the 1960s, 70s was just like an awesome time to exist because of that.
Well, for some people.
Of course. Yeah. Like, with a grain of salt. Yeah, with a grain of salt. But, like, in this way, it was this beautiful time where you could be an artist and you could be ultra famous, but then also be of the people. And then I think, like, the kind of godlike over idolization of artists is what
idolization, that's what I was looking for.
Is kind of what pulled them away. Like, artists and famous people can't kind of be of the people because people will just, like, tackle them and, like, go all over them. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I don't mean to minimize the amazing artists of the 60s and 70s at all, but, like, it reminded me, I went to an event recently with my friend Katie, and it was this thing called, like, Y2K, and it's almost like this, like, let's pretend we're in 2000 again. Mm-hmm. and Nina Sky was there, and they had a performance, but they also DJ'd. But the way they were at the party is like, once they stopped performing, they would just walk around and grab a drink and like dance with you a little bit and do that. And I could only imagine that that's kind of like what the 60s or 70s was like. That like people would just chill with you. You know what I mean? They didn't need bodyguards and like security.
Well, not to take away anything from Nina Sky, but I could pass Nina Sky and not know her on the street.
Oh, there's two of them. You don't even know there's two.
Wait, it's Nina and Sky?
No, their name's Nina Sky, but they're twins. And they're from Astoria, girl. Come on.
One's Nina, one's Sky.
No. That's just their group name.
Okay.
But I think that's kind of like, that's what I mean. Like, I wasn't trying to compare Nina Sky to Bob Dylan and Jimi Hendrix.
The greatest artist of our time, Nina Sky, was dancing with me at this Y2K party.
I was comparing that kind of laissez-faire energy that artists must have had back then before Beatlemania, before they got like over-idolized. I think the Chelsea Hotel is like, I don't want to say it's not talked about enough, but it's one of those, it's not like overly tourist bait. Like I think it's very much of the Chelsea community still. Mm-hmm. Like it's kind of its own thing. And I don't
know. It seemed a little touristy when we were there. But it was a Saturday night. Let's be fair.
And arguably all the tourists are the ones staying there.
Yeah.
So
true.
Yeah. But I would say
it did also have
Chelsea
like
residents were there as well.
Yeah.
You know what I
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if we had to compare it to the Boathouse, it's that kind of thing. Like, it's of New York, but it hasn't... It's of New York, but it's also a tourist thing. Like, that's kind of the energy.
I think what we were saying was New Yorkers also enjoy it, even though it's touristy. Like we don't enjoy Times Square, but
Exactly. Mm-hmm. I would say it's one of those places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
But I really enjoyed learning about this.
Yeah, me too.
A nice little nugget of knowledge, and I hope you guys had fun listening to us as well.
Everybody's an artist.
Everybody's an artist nowadays. All you need is an Instagram. Okay, I don't want to leave on that note.
I was like, cut.
Thanks for listening. You guys are the best. Till next time.
Bye.